Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics. Thank you so much for being here. In today's video, we're going to be doing a comparison, the Cardinal Tetra versus the standard Neon Tetra. Very similar, but some important things to consider if you're looking for a color variety that's similar to the two and want a nice big school in your aquarium. Let's take a close look. And oh, by the way, thank you to everybody who has used our discount code for the merch. We're running that through May 22nd, that would be 2024. And all you have to do is go to primetimeaquatics.com, use Aquashella24 at checkout. You're getting 20% off all of our shirts through May 22nd. So thank you so much for that. Hope you enjoyed the video. So in this comparison video, we've got two amazing aquariums to show you. This was the Cardinal Tetras that we saw at the Wonders of Wildlife Aquarium in Missouri, Springfield, Missouri. If you ever have a chance to go, this is a sight to behold. They've got a lot of cool aquariums, so check that out. And for the neons, we've got a really cool tank that came from Agno Aquatics. They have a pet store in Ohio, in the Cleveland area. Also a very cool place worth checking out if you're ever in the area. All right, so if we're going to be comparing these two, let's just start out with the size of these fish. Again, you're looking at Cardinal Tetras. They're going to max out right around 2 inches or so. They were full grown in this particular aquarium because it was like 3,000 gallons. But for both fish, a 20-gallon is enough to house a nice size group for either one of them. But the Cardinal Tetras are going to get a little bit larger than the neons. The neons that you're seeing here are going to be a little bit smaller, usually maxing out right around 1.5 inches or so. So keep that in mind, especially if you've got one of those smaller aquariums, if you're dealing with a standard 20-gallon and not a 20 long, or maybe you want to put a group in a 10-gallon, which can be a little bit small, but the neons might be a better choice because they do stay a little bit smaller. Now, when it comes to water parameters, for the Cardinal Tetras that you're seeing here, typically, historically, they are less forgiving of water parameter changes. And so often softer water with a lower pH, softer water meaning GH and KH in the low single digits, pH under 7, where the Neon Tetra, they would do better at those same parameters, but they could handle a higher pH, maybe going into even the upper 7s, and with the water hardness approaching the upper single digits. Now, I say historically, more and more people, more and more pet stores are importing Cardinal Tetras that are actually coming from areas where they're breeding them, and they are much more tolerant of harder water. Please keep in mind, as I'm going through these, we have imported thousands of Cardinal Tetras and Neon Tetras and all kinds of Tetras for that matter. And what we're finding is the Cardinals are actually able to withstand those harder water with a higher pH as well. We've got a GH and KH of 10 and a pH of 8. And not only did they do well in our water, but all of the customers that we sold them to who have the same general water parameters we do because they live in the same area have said that they are doing awesome. And so I think more and more we're starting to see Cardinal Tetras that are able to thrive in those harder water parameters along with the higher pH. Now, the Neon Tetras that you're seeing here, again, they have typically done well in a wider range of water parameters, and that really hasn't changed. And by the way, if you are looking for Cardinal Tetras or Neon Tetras, there is no better place to go than Flip Aquatics, flipaquatics.com. I will put their information down in the description below, but they sell amazing fish. Quarantine them for 2 weeks. They're going to make sure that you're getting the healthiest fish possible. And I know for a fact they have really healthy strains of both Cardinals and all Neon types. Now, when it comes to disease, I think this is an area where a lot of you are probably saying, hey, there might be a difference here, and there may be a difference here. Cardinal Tetras, once again, as long as they are doing well in your water parameters, are pretty hardy fish. In fact, we've had really good luck with Cardinal Tetras, much better luck with Cardinals than the standard Neon. Why is that? Well, sometimes the standard Neons are prone to Neon Tetra disease. It's a wasting disease that can be nearly impossible to treat. And that's why it is so important to make sure wherever you're getting your neons from, make sure they are going through the quarantine process like Flip Aquatics is, because that's going to dramatically decrease the likelihood that you're going to get sick neons. But we hear this all the time when people go to pet stores or some of the big box stores. Hey, I bought 10 neons and only 3 of them lived. And that can just be the nature of the Neon Tetra sometimes if you're not getting them from a reputable source. So when it comes to hardiness, if the fish are both doing well in your water parameters, the Cardinals are definitely going to have an advantage here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about behavior. These are both great fish. These are both schooling fish. You can see the Cardinal Tetras here. They look amazing. In both cases, it is recommended that you keep these fish in schools of greater or groups of greater than 6. I highly recommend more than that if you can. It's really going to bring out their behaviors in both types of fish. So if you can go 10, 12, 15 or more, even better. And that's why I really recommend that 20-gallon or larger, because a 10-gallon, yeah, you can put 6 or 8 of these Tetras in there, but they are somewhat active and they're going to show better behavior. You keep them in larger groups, keep them in those 20 gallons, the 29s or larger. In fact, in our 125, we've got a similar type of Tetra. It is called the Diamond Head Neon, and we've got a group of about 40 in there, and it just really brings out their personality. So either way, behavior-wise, you're going to get a great fish, a peaceful fish. They generally leave each other alone. They don't fin nip other fish. And they're going to be a really awesome schooling fish. That's going to be just a dynamic thing to look at from across the room. All right, let's talk a little bit about cost. This is a big consideration, especially when someone is telling you, hey, keep 10 or 12 or 15. It's like, yeah, that's really easy to say. And then you start doing the math, and that can get a little expensive, and I definitely recognize that. Well, here the Neon Tetra is probably going to have a slight advantage. They used to have a much greater advantage 10, 15, 20 years ago, but I think the prices have kind of narrowed a little bit. Cardinal Tetras are still most likely going to be more expensive. Typically at a pet store, they're going to range anywhere from $3 to $5, maybe even $6, depending on the pet store. Where your Neon Tetras, if you go to the big box stores, sometimes they have them on sale for $1 or $2 a piece, but typically they're not going to cost more than $3. So the Neon Tetra is going to be a little bit less expensive, and therefore, if you're trying to keep a larger school, it could have a large impact. But then again, keep in mind, if you're not getting them from a reputable breeder, you might have more loss with the Neons relative to the Cardinals. And by the way, if you're looking for more information on either one of these fish, we've done full species profiles on both the Cardinal Tetra and the Neon Tetra. They will be linked in the description below, as well as at the end of this video if you want more info. We've brought in, as I've said, thousands of these fish. We've kept these fish for decades upon decades. So we have a lot of experience with both types of fish. Now, I think at this point in the video, you've probably already made a determination, but most of it might not have been about anything I've already said, and it is about the look. The actual look of the fish. Here you're seeing these Cardinal Tetras, and they look outstanding. They've got a lot of blue at the top of their body and a lot of deep red that extends the full length of their body, and I think that's what attracts people to these fish so strongly. I can tell you from the time I was a child to this day, I have preferred the Cardinal Tetra just because I like that deep red color, and when you get a really nice strain, they absolutely pop in a tank. The Neon Tetras are great looking fish as well, as you're seeing throughout this video, but I really prefer the Cardinal Tetra color. In either case, if you want a great way to bring out the most in these fish, if you've got a dark substrate and you have a dark background, it is going to allow these fish to show way more color. Both of these fish are prone to paling out a little bit, getting a little bit lighter. If you have a light substrate and you have a light background, they're going to try to match their surroundings. If you have a darker substrate, a darker background, they are going to get much more vibrant reds and blues. So please keep that in mind. Also, they get a lot more color as they age. And so sometimes those really small Cardinals or the really small Neons that you're seeing at the pet store, give them time. Let them settle in. They grow another quarter inch or so, and they're going to show amazing color. So you really can't go wrong with either fish. They're both awesome. Bottom line is this. Keep them in groups. The more, the better. Try to stay away from the 10 gallons. If you have a 10, you want to throw a half a dozen in there, it's possible. But if you've got those 20s, 20 longs, 29 gallons, even a 40 breeder or larger, bigger groups are going to show much better behavior. They're going to school a little bit tighter as well. And they're just going to be more confident. One of the things for both of these fish that people sometimes complain about is they have a tendency to hide when they're in smaller groups and they don't have enough structure. Believe it or not, more structure will make them feel more secure. Larger groups will make them feel more secure. And as long as you don't have any fish in there that can bully them, they're going to be out and about and just being an awesome fish. So would love to hear from you in the comments section below. Do you have a preference? If you had to pick just one, which one would it be? Thank you so much for being here. Again, species profiles are right there in the upper right-hand and lower right-hand corner. Really appreciate you being here.